So we got the LFA successor before GTA 6. Who would have guessed? Lexus and Toyota do not announce or release supercars very often, so that's probably why we're all paying attention to the new GR GT. And more accurately, they announced 3 cars and only one of them is technically the LFA successor, but we'll get to that later. So we all knew this was coming. You guys probably saw all the spy shots, photos, and videos over at the Nürburgring, Fuji Speedway over the years, trying to camouflage what we knew was going to be a front-engined, maybe all-wheel drive, maybe rear-wheel drive vehicle, kind of similar in shape to an SLR, McLaren, SLS, AMG, stuff like, or LFA, stuff like that, of course, right? In a previous video I shot, I believe it was last year, I outlined kind of what I hypothesized this could be, and I went to the worst case scenario. I was fully prepared and ready to accept an all-wheel drive plug-in hybrid more closely resembling this. The GLC 63 AMG SE Performance, a 671 horsepower plug-in hybrid, but of course it has a 4-cylinder under the hood. Yes, this makes more power than a GR GT, but this is not the powertrain that we wanted out of a GR GT. We knew it wasn't going to be an inline-4, but even the V8 in the GT63 AMG SE Performance is a GT car. It's a Grand Tourer. It weighs well over 5,000 pounds. And that car is not really an AMG GT Black Series successor, but the GR GT does better, okay? They've set a target curb weight of under 3,900 pounds. That's within 50 pounds of the new 992.2 Turbo S from Porsche. So how did they do it? Well, a brand new all aluminum chassis, a first for Toyota. Of course, like we guessed, it's front engined, it's rear wheel drive. This is the kicker, you guys. I was prepared for the worst. This is why sometimes you have to set your expectations low and then you get them blown out of the water, okay? Not only that, but as we saw a couple of weeks ago in the GT63 non-hybrid that I drove, they ditched the transaxle in that car. The transmission in those cars are no longer on the rear end, aiding in just a better weight distribution. The GR GT has a transaxle. It's got a newly developed 8-speed auto gearbox in the back. Not only that, but it's really cool. So it sends torque down a torque tube to the rear end. There is a hybrid or an E-motor, more accurately. It's a hybrid setup. So there's an E-motor in front of that gearbox. So that gearbox is actually sat behind the rear axle, and then it sends the torque forward to the rear axle to then put power down to the rear wheels. Point is, it's a hybrid, but it is not a plug-in hybrid, so they're able to keep the weight down. If I had to guess, it is not going to have any all-electric range. It's got a mechanical LSD. The engine, okay, a twin-turbo 4-liter V8. It's a hot V setup, much like the AMG V8s in a lot of applications. So in that sense, okay, yeah, it's 500 cc's per cylinder. It's a 4-liter twin-turbo V8. How are they gonna make this thing sound, okay? Point is, though, it's got an over-square engine. What does that mean? Well, it means the bore is a larger diameter than the stroke is long, okay? A shorter stroke in an engine means it has the potential to rev higher. Now, in this screenshot right here, we see, if I remember correctly, it's at about 6,900 RPM, and there's red lights on the dash indicating that we should be shifting very soon. I'm hoping it revs past 7,000 RPM. Give us like 72, 73. That's one key. If they can make it rev high, but also they need to make it sound good, which will be an uphill battle. Now, this is, of course, based alongside and built alongside the GR GT3. There's 2 cars, well, there's 3 cars. We'll get to one at the end, but one is ready for FIA GT3 racing. That's incredibly exciting. So that car has a huge wing. It's got side pipes, which the production road legal car does not get. And Toyota says this is a road legal race car. It's a race car for the street, right? But they've also put a focus on serviceability, visibility, and just usability. So that indicates to me, unlike the LFA, which only saw 500 units come out of production, that this might actually be a car you're gonna see on the road, okay? I don't know about you guys. I've seen one LFA, maybe 2 in person, and it was on a lawn at a supercar show. I've never actually heard an LFA in person, which after driving 800, 900 plus vehicles on this channel is kind of ridiculous. So I'm hoping we'll be able to see a few more of these, okay? I didn't even tell you guys the power. 641 horsepower, 627 pound-feet of torque. Toyota has stated that these numbers have the potential to go up in the final production model, which is awesome. So these are just their targets. Not quite as high as the Mustang GTD, but the GTD weighs 500 pounds more than this. So we'll see how this all stacks up. I'm so happy they didn't do a plug-in hybrid. I'm glad it's rear-wheel drive. We're gonna get a ton of great oversteer shots, slow motion footage of this thing drifting. It's gonna be amazing. And because of that transaxle, the weight distribution is 45% over the front axle and 55 at the rear. So it's actually rear bias, which is pretty insane. Super low center of gravity. This is what Toyota was focusing on, and they kind of took an engineering approach first and an aerodynamic approach first, and then kind of built the design around it, okay? We can see that in the design. It's got a ton of aero. Please let me know what you guys think about how this car looks. Obviously, it has road presence. The front end has that kind of nose. It kind of looks like a Prius a little bit, just in terms of that design, that one design element, but I guess they have to have some kind of brand continuity there. It gives me SLS AMG Black Series vibes, for sure. That lower piece on the side skirt, that intake, definitely. That vent right above the rear wheel, that's LFA all day long. And then the rear end, it looks pretty insane. I think this is gonna go right up against the Mustang GTD. Like I said, this is 500 pounds lighter than that car. It's kind of going up against the Corvette E-Ray in a sense, just because it's hybrid. You could say it's going up against the 911 Turbo S, definitely. Although this, at least, let's call it in Porsche land, in Porsche speak, this would kind of land right in between the Turbo S and the GT3 RS. It's not quite as hardcore, it doesn't seem, as a GT3 RS, just based on the lack of a massive wing in the back, yet it's not quite to the Grand Touring level that the Turbo S is at. I don't think it's going to be nearly as comfortable as a Turbo S. You just, one look at the seats might tell you that. So I'm incredibly excited for this car. It uses a bunch of carbon fiber reinforced plastic and aluminum for the body panels. It's got double wishbone suspension all around. Just a bunch of good tech, but they haven't hopefully made this too complicated where they're gonna have to charge $750,000 for it. So your guess is really as good as mine when it comes to pricing. An AMG GT63 non-hybrid is still a $180,000 US vehicle. That is expensive. If they can come in under $200,000 here, that is a massive win. I have a feeling it's going to be around the $200,000 mark, potentially more. In order for this to be successful, it needs to deliver on the exact promise that Toyota has laid out, which is a lightweight, tactile driver's car that is incredibly usable on the street and somewhat comfortable, but just usable, something you can use every day. And they did state that in their press release, but also, GLC, we're not done yet, but also something that performs on the racetrack and is somewhat approachable and not twitchy and is not gonna try to kill you on the racetrack. So there it is, GR-GT. Toyota's killing the game. Lexus is killing the game. GR offers the widest possible spectrum for the enthusiast right now. Once this comes out, I believe they've pretty much nailed it as far as like an entry-level GR86 all the way up to this GR-GT. It's so exciting. So I know this isn't my normal video, but hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And before I go, there's one other car, the third car that Toyota and Lexus announced is the actual LFA successor, and it's all electric. I'll leave you with that. See you next time.